Hello, book connectors. Welcome back to the Book Connection. I am your host, Blue-Eyed Black Devil, and I am here with the video for the book Home is Where the Bodies Are by Jeneva Rose. So, this is the tale of a married couple, Laura and Brian. Together they had 3 children, oldest daughter, Beth, middle child, Nicole, and youngest child, Michael, the only son. Unfortunately, as the children grew older, they became estranged. Beth ended up never leaving home. Now, she did marry briefly when she was young. She did marry, and she had a daughter, Marissa. But they too had a strained relationship. She was off in the military. Beth never, after she divorced, she moved back in with her mom and never left again. Nicole ended up addicted to drugs, so she was on the outs with the family most of the time. But if anybody saw her or did anything for or with her, it was usually Beth. And then their youngest son, or the girl's brother, Mike, he ended up leaving shortly after high school. He became a big tech whiz. All right, so the mother realizes that she doesn't have long to live anymore. So she wrote and their dad just pretty much up and disappeared. So now the mother, like I said, she realizes she's not long here anymore in this world. So she wrote each one of her children letters. And then she, just told them not to read them until after she passed. And so when everybody got I'm sorry. She did write she wrote Nicole and she wrote Michael because Beth was there with her. So Michael and Nicole came back now. Michael hadn't been back before he got his letter. He hadn't been back home in 7 years. Now, Nicole lived in the area somewhere, but she hadn't seen her mother in a little over a year before the mother passed away. So, you know how these things go. You get these letters, and whether the mother is there or not, where they can engage with you, that usually never happens, or at least not in the books I've read. So the siblings are coming together to basically air out their differences, face their demons and whatnot. I guess trying to decide if they will continue to live independent of each other, or are they going to try to be in a sisterly type relationship. Now, the girls, especially the women, they were upset and angry at the dad because the dad just up and disappeared. Well, when Nicole, especially, I think Nicole and the neighbor girl were closer in age, although Beth was only a year older than Nicole. But a neighbor, a little girl, ended up missing and presumed dead. But everybody in the town, did a search party. They formed a search party. They couldn't find the child. No signs of anything. And that's just what it was. But some people saw Michael and the neighbor girl, her name was Emma. They were playing over some ledge or something. They had some sort of town function going on, and the kids, everybody was out. And in fact, Lauren and her husband Brian, they were the ones that organized this thing every year. It's just where everybody comes out. It's a small town type community that they lived in. And when Emma came up missing, quite naturally, everybody is looking, trying to see. Well, she was never found. Several years later, okay, when Beth, Nicole, and Michael were little, they were back during the time when people used to be big with the camcorders, and you just running around shooting family movies, home movies, whatever. They used to like to do that a lot. And they used to laugh about how their mom would be upset if she caught them with the camera and they hadn't gotten permission to use it and stuff like that. Little things like that. Okay, so as they were going back, the mother somewhere in some of those letters was telling them where certain things were in the house. She passed away from cancer, but she wasn't dead just yet. So right after Michael shows up and they're all sitting around, Nicole and Beth are kind of always arguing back and forth, and Michael just always seemed to be in the background. You know, he could take it or leave it or whatever. He did offer to do things or buy things because he was the one that actually had made a success out of going to college. He had his little Rolex on and stuff, and they would have drinks. And he wouldn't get, I guess, you must be able to buy a cheaper gin than what Michael bought because it was a big deal when Beth and Nicole saw him. Now, Beth, you know, she was a little leery about drinking in front of Nicole because although other drugs were her preference, she would, if she couldn't get anything else, then she would drink the alcohol. And so they did. They had a couple of nights where they just sat back and reminisced and everything was okay. But, you know, eventually, worst comes to worst, the mother passed away. And so they were reading letters, and she told each one of them in the letter she wrote to that specific person what was theirs. But Beth, you know, she lived with her, and the last thing she actually heard her mother say was, "Your father's not dead. Don't trust." And then she left. And so that spent pretty good bit of the time trying to decide whether or not to tell Michael and Nicole what her mother said. So everybody got, you know, something. She left the house to Beth. She left the house to Beth. She left a lot of her journals and letters and personal papers. She left those to Nicole because before Nicole got on drugs, that's what she was looking to do, be in some form of writing or media. And then I can't remember right off the top what she left to Michael. But nobody was really complaining about what was left to them. But they came across boxes and boxes of things that she had stored in the attic. And so when she was telling everybody what they had, you know, they all had, you know, got their things. Well, they come across several boxes of VHS tapes. And those tapes told the story. One tape was dated June 15th, 1999. So they put it in because they were like, although they thought they knew about most of the family movies their mom had shot and made, they like, oh, let's see if we can catch them being naughty, meaning their parents. Unfortunately, nothing could have prepared them for what they found. They found or saw a body of like a little girl, although they couldn't say exactly man or woman because the person was just drenched in blood. It was just everywhere. Now, their mother, Laura, was the one who was actually shooting the video. She just happens to come across this during the event at the town, grooving at the something, I think they called it, the Grove or something. Anyway, so when she comes across that body, she's just, shocked and sick, and she was falling all over herself trying to get to her husband. He took the camera from her, and she was like, wait a minute, we got to see what we can see. We got to do this. So the dad was trying to turn it off, but he ended up recording it. So I'm pretty sure they probably put that, I don't even know if they bothered to watch the tape. But Michael, Nicole, and Beth watched it. So, they're all sitting around trying to see who could remember specifically what about that day. And one of them brought up how they saw Michael and Emma playing. And next thing they knew, when it was time to go home, Michael, they just saw Michael along with the other boys because, they did other things like have, what is it, those three-legged sack races and balloon tosses and all of that. So nobody thought anything of it. Nicole just kept wanting to go run with her friends because she had to see about some of the younger children. I think she was 15 at the time, and Beth was 16. Nicole was just trying to go run with her friends, but at the end, her mom did free her to go be with her own group of friends. When they got home, they just got ready for bed. Evidently, the parents didn't let on what they stumbled upon. And so it was just over time, from time to time, nobody could come up with any new information anywhere. Well, Emma's older brother, Lucas, and Beth were one-time sweethearts in high school. But after high school, they both ended up getting married, and they both ended up getting divorced. Lucas didn't have any children, but Beth had one. Lucas's mother, after Emma died, she just went downhill. She was basically living her death. But she used to be friends with Beth's mother, Laura. And so it just got to where, what was Lucas? Okay, his mom's name was Susan. He ended up moving back to that small town because the dad had died, Emma was gone, and the mom was there, but not so much. Her health mentally and physically just slowly went down over time. And it's because she never really could get over losing her daughter or presuming her daughter was dead because nothing came up. Okay, so one time, Nicole, at the time that her mother died, she was going to some sort of clinic. She's trying to come off the drugs. And she very seldom asked that to do anything for her because those two used to butt heads all the time anyway. But one time she needed to go get her medicine and she did ask Beth to take her. Beth took her and she told Beth to just wait in the car. It wouldn't take her long. And Beth did wait. But eventually, Nicole didn't come out. So she gets out, goes in, and the lady tells Beth that Nicole finished about 10 minutes prior. So for some reason, Beth noticed a door, like you could go out the back of the building. And she stepped outside of the door and she saw Nicole on the opposite end of a back parking lot talking to a man. And the man reaches over and gives her this manila envelope. That's when Beth decided, look, Nicole, what are you doing? So they fell out, but come to find out, Nicole was not there getting drugs. We now learned down the line that the man was giving her the file for Emma, and he had to do it, undercover because he worked in the police department. And she was like, we were just interested to see what you all had on Emma because all this time later, and the guy basically was just saying, yeah, we still don't have any new evidence, do you? And stuff. So they made up, they went home. And so after they found out whatever their mom left them, Michael offered to buy the house from Beth. And she was like, I don't know. He said, I don't want it for me. I just thought I would buy the house and just give it so that Nicole would have somewhere to stay. And Beth said, well, I don't know. I'll have to think about that. On the one hand, she thought, well, gee, I really could use the money because she herself was working at some local factory. But she was like, that would give me some money to tie up some loose ends in her own personal affairs, maybe get out of debt or whatever. But at the same time, she was like, but then, Nicole, if this is her house, this is the one thing nobody could take from her. But I don't know. I'll just have to think about it. But they ended up getting into an argument, Beth and Nicole did. And Nicole yells and tells Beth that your own daughter don't even have anything to do with you. You're just a horrible person and this, that, and the other. And then Beth called her a drug addict crackhead, which was redundant to me because getting crack a drug. But anyway, Michael, he always just seemed to be the peaceful one, Okay, that's enough, so that broke that argument up. Michael was only supposed to be in town for a week, but we're just going to go on. After the funeral, Nicole finds out in her, because the mother wrote them letters, and they read the ones before they had the funeral, and that's what she told them who got what. But then she also wrote them another letter each and said that specifically, do not read these letters until after I'm buried. So that's what they did. Well, somehow Nicole finds out that her mom had a safe deposit box in the bank. And she went and posed as Beth to get what was in the safe deposit box. All right, she goes in there and she finds a lot of stuff that has no monetary value, didn't even have much of a sentimental meaning to Nicole, but she does come across a money order for like $5,000. She looked at that. Then she comes across yet another letter, and it has her name. It actually has Nicole's name on it. She's like, oh, well, maybe she forgot or confused or whatever. So it's got my name on it. I might as well open it. She opened the letter, and the letter had 2 sentences on it. And it said, you are not the child I wanted, but you are the child I deserved. Regretfully, your mother. I'm like, well, dang, Mama. Oh, my gosh, that hurt that girl so bad. Okay, then now we're going to go ahead and get to where the bodies were. Come to find out, Michael switched the letters. The letter that Nicole read was meant for him. And this all comes out because Beth eventually and Lucas, they had been trying to get back together after he knew he was going to be there in town and stuff. So they were going to, get back together. But Beth, was just going through the house. She was having such a hard time trying to understand what was going on with Emma. And she always felt like her brother. After the mother died, she felt like her brother knew a little bit more than what he was saying. And that all this time they thought that the dad just walked away from them. Come to find out, they get emails maybe like the day after the funeral saying, your dad is not dead. And they go, Beth went to try to meet him. And he wasn't there, so she was kind of upset when she came back home. We're just on another wild goose chase and this, that. So she was just telling Lucas, I don't know what's going on. I don't know where Emma is and all of these years. And he kept trying to reassure her. I know it's been, I think, like 30 years since that happened. And in all that time, they never found so much as a piece of a shredded T-shirt or anything. So that goes on. Well, Beth starts running and Lucas starts running in behind her. She gets ready to fling the file that Nicole had gotten from her friend. And when Lucas ran trying to catch her, he tackled her. He gets hit in the back of his head with a shovel. And then somebody almost runs over Beth. We now know that Michael was the one behind every bit of that. Their brother, one and only brother, the youngest sibling. This man, turns out he killed Emma. The parents found out. They didn't see him do it, and what they recorded showed only her. And but after they got home, it turns out Michael went and cried to his dad and confessed, but he kept saying that it was an accident. It was an accident. That's why the parents decided to hide everything. Because Michael at that time was like 13 or 14 years old when he killed that girl. And so the dad hid it, and the mom knew all about it, and she promised never to say anything. But then Michael just goes on a crime spree. And the dad was like, I'm not going to keep trying to protect you, keep doing this, that, and the other. So eventually he offs his dad, And then he asked Katie's. Well, first, before he did that, Emma said Katie, but her name was Emma. Emma's father and mother, they were constantly looking for their child. Lucas did what he could, but to no avail. And so they had one real weird neighbor. His name was Charles. And they just was like, you might see this man in full army gear. It could be like 99 degrees outside, and he's all suited up and stuff. And then it might be 3 degrees outside, and he out there in swim trunks. And then he would just always just be like right on the edge of anything going on. He was always speaking and saying stuff just to, I guess, get their attention, but they didn't pay him much attention. But for some reason, somehow, Lucas' father, Eddie, ends up off in Charles. Or so they thought, but come to find out Michael did that too. Okay, so now there is Emma, there is Charles. Then, all these years later, Eddie, Emma's father, is still upset because he can't find any closure. He knew or he felt like his daughter may not be living, but he would like to go ahead and get some closure, bring her home so they could have a proper goodbye and burial and all that stuff. And I guess Michael got tired of hearing about it because he ought that man too. All right, and he was trying to get rid of Lucas and his own sister. Lucas did end up having to have quite a few surgeries, but he did survive. Now, at the end, we know that Michael ended up in prison. He got like 30 years for Emma. They didn't say about the other ones, but I'm pretty sure he won't be out anytime soon. I know it's fiction, but still. Beth wrote him at the end. She said she had written him over 28 letters. He hasn't bothered to respond to any of them. She knew she wasn't going to see him, but she was just letting him know that she was aware of all he had done. Beth and Lucas did finally get married, and they adopted a little boy named Jack. Marissa, Beth's daughter from her first marriage, I don't know if she is still in the military or if she came home on leave, but she's there. And she and Beth's relationship has been greatly improved. They're just getting along like mom and daughter as if nothing ever happened. And everything is good. So they're in the kitchen preparing breakfast one day. They're trying to have it ready so that they can watch the news show. Some show was coming on they wanted to watch. And come to find out, Nicole has completely come off drugs. She is married to the guy that slipped her that vial. His name was Casey. I don't know if I said that. But they had been high school friends off and on, but they actually dated and got married, and she is expecting her first child. So this is how this book ended. I'm like, I didn't see the brother I didn't see him as the villain, period. I thought it might have either been Charles, or I thought it could have even oh yeah, I left this part out too. Michael paid someone to rough Nicole up, where he was trying to rough Nicole and Beth up. But it just so happens that Nicole was there at their house they grew up in by herself, the one Beth never left. She just happened to be at home by herself when these people came in, and they roughed her up and they ransacked the house and all of that. All of this came out when Michael was placed in custody. So, yeesh. And I don't know why. I guess the dad just took all he could. He knew at some point he was going to have to turn his son in. And so he might have even said it to Michael. I don't know. But the mother knew that that man was dead. She just didn't tell Beth and Nicole because she would have had to tell about their brother. And in her letters to them, she said, I have taken my secrets to the grave, but this is as far as I can take them. Always know that I love you, Mom, Laura. And, she said that about her husband, too. So, book connectors, this concludes this video. I thought this was a very fascinating book. Like I said, mainly because just when I thought I knew who it was, because after I found out that the siblings themselves were estranged, I knew it was going to be some sort of letter writing going on. That seems to be what people do, or at least in these books anyway. But it ended up being a happy story, but oh my gosh, all that probably was lost when they think about their brother and how unsuspected they were of him and things. So I hope you all enjoyed the book. It was really a good read for me this whole weekend. I loved it. And I hope you all like this video as much as I enjoy bringing it to you. Subscribers, know that I thank you wholeheartedly for being subscribed. And visitors, I sincerely welcome you to feel free to subscribe. Everyone, please do not forget to like this video, share this video, comment respectfully about this video. Make sure your notification bells are set to all so you'll know every time I upload a video. And in the meantime, book connectors, remember this. As long as there are books around, there's always something to read. And until we read again, book connectors, be safe out there, have a wonderful week, and God bless. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.